right, so here's a hot take. I'm pretty sure that most of you are familiar with Rob from Comics Explained. He has an opinion, a take on the Fantastic Four movie that I completely disagree with for several reasons. Let's hear what he has to say, and then I'm going to explain to you why I think his take is wrong.
So after seeing the Fantastic Four and thinking about the ending for the last few hours, I still say the ending that I would have done would have been better than the one that we got. When the trailer came out and it showed that Galactus was going to come to Earth, and then combining that with the rumors at the time that Galactus was hunting for Franklin Richards, it became obvious the Fantastic Four were fighting for the survival of their child. However it is that ended up looking. I don't know. Right. None of us knew at the time. But the theory that I put out there was this, that Reed basically created a backup plan that no one but him knew about, which was using the bridge to develop interdimensional travel. And that the backup plan was that if it came down to it, and there was no way to save the Earth from Galactus, no way to save the family from Galactus, they would abandon Earth. They would abandon their universe to its fate in order to save their child. And that's what should have happened. The movie should have ended with the Fantastic Four having to flee that reality because there was no way to stop Galactus. And that's how they ended up in the Thunderbolts film. They were literally refugees, right? Flying out of their planet, flying out of their universe, and trying to find some place where Galactus didn't exist. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
I think that's absolutely wrong for a multitude of reasons. I want to point out that when we first saw the trailer, if you go back and you look at some of our live streams talking about the trailer, I think a lot of us had a very similar opinion of what was going to happen based on a few things. Before seeing the Thunderbolts, it was kind of just a theory and speculation that the incursion events would start with this movie. That Doctor Doom or some other force of nature, whether it be Galactus or whatever, happens and the incursion events happen, and that our characters have to make a decision to stay and fight or to cross over into another Earth. And the comic book fan in me was like, yeah, this would be really cool. But that's not taking into account the fact that this is the first time the general audience is getting to know who this version of the Fantastic Four is. So we're thinking of it like as fans, as a standpoint of like, these characters have been around for a long time. Wouldn't it be cool if XYZ happened? But then you have to think we are establishing these characters for a new audience to come in and check them out. I think having them abandon their Earth, their people, just abandon them for any reason whatsoever, any reason. Doesn't matter if it was trying to save Franklin, whatever. Having them abandon their Earth for any reason would have grim-darked their entire story, tainted them forever moving forward in the MCU, no matter what happens. It would add a tragic backstory to all four of these characters that they have to carry with them over and over and over again throughout the remainder of their time in the MCU. I don't think that's the right direction for the hopeful Fantastic Four that they were trying to set up in this movie. Now, would it be possible that Reed Richards had some sort of backup plan to save the whole family? Yeah, I guess you could say that is a possibility. And they could have even explored that possibility in the movie to have a conversation about why they shouldn't do it. For example, Johnny or Ben or even Sue stumbles upon Reed's plan to do this, and they're like, we can't just abandon these people. Not only are they choosing Franklin over the Earth, which I understand is that moral dilemma that they're having in the film. Not only do they choose Franklin, but then they would also additionally choose to just abandon everybody. So not only are they choosing to save their child in that moment, but the second thing they're doing, the second dilemma they have, is to allow the entire planet they come from, everybody they've been saving and protecting all this time, to just get destroyed. That does not inspire a team of heroes that anybody, I wouldn't want to see them leading the Avengers or helping people in the MCU. Like, it just doesn't inspire that. I think that would have been an awful ending. It would have been tragic, and yeah, you could even say realistic to some degree. But I think that would have been an awful, awful ending. They would have to explain over and over and over again why they deserve to be heroes existing in the world they're in after leaving their entire planet to get away from Galactus in this moment. That doesn't even address the fact that they don't know if Galactus was capable of following them or not. They were guessing through a lot of this. A lot of the stuff they were doing were theories, right? They didn't know for sure. So if they jumped away Even with the plan with the Earth, if the Earth jumped, they didn't know if Galactus would be able to find them again quickly. They have no idea. The Silver Surfer is capable of FTL. So they didn't know where that was going to land, how Silver Surfer was going to react to that. So they were doing whatever they could. It was kind of like a Hail Mary type situation. So having them jump away to another multiverse, if in fact they would have been able to do that, having them do that, they don't know if Galactus and Silver Surfer would be able to follow them. And then they'd be dragging them along into a new universe for him to just start destroying planets there. It just would have been a really, really bad idea for the introduction of a brand new team of hopeful heroes that come from this different reality where everyone looks up to them. It would have been the worst ending. I don't know why he thinks it'd be a better... He's saying this would have been a better ending, in his opinion. This is what he thinks would have worked. So we would have had these characters jumping over and having to explain what happened, possibly dragging Galactus with them, which back when I was talking about this, I thought that was a possibility that Galactus could jump from one multiverse to another. That's something that could have been a factor there. He thinks this would have been a better ending than the one we got where the team managed to save the day for their first time in the MCU. There's an untainted multiverse that can be explored now without the baggage of losing to Galactus. Now they have they've got the trophy for defeating Galactus as a team. This is a big thing for them. It's a big moment for them. And we're going to see that carrying throughout. This team that was capable of doing this, they've got that under their belt. So now we know when it comes time to face off against like Doctor Doom or whatever the next big threat is, we have the Fantastic Four that is capable of coming up with a plan that they can use and adjusting that plan on the fly to beat the larger threats, which I think was established in their film. So no, I think this take is awful. I think it's a bad take. I would not want to see this happen. Yes, it is a theory that a lot of us had, again, because of the aspect of incursion events, if they were going to use this to lead into Doomsday. But it's very clear to me, based on this movie, that Doomsday is going to introduce all the moving parts. Also, by the way, them jumping over from their Earth to another Earth, to the main continuity MCU, if they would have done that, then all that would have done is served to set up the next thing. By doing the ending the way they did it, they weren't setting up something else. They were literally giving themselves an ending to their own movie that doesn't necessarily set up something else, which I think a lot of people were complaining about. If they would have done that, then this would have no longer just been what Kevin Feige wanted to do, is like a standalone movie where we get to see these characters existing in their own world and so, right? So I think the decision they made was a good decision. I think that Rob's take here is absolutely awful. It would have like diminished the hope that this team was supposed to have moving into the MCU by giving them the baggage of being responsible for the death of everybody on their Earth. That's not the way to establish the Fantastic Four in the MCU moving forward.